So at this point, you might be done with the third and final portion of creating your shed, your utility shed in Revit. So now, if you have the ability to, we're going to go a little further, and you can make a physical model of your virtual model. So to do this, what you would do is you go back to your first floor plan. And so what we're going to export, what we're going to make a model of is the floor along with the four elevations, the four outside elevations, east, north, south, and west. All right, before we get started with anything, east and north, since we put those on our drawing sheets, those are pretty much cleaned up and ready to go. Not anything really, a little bit to do here, but not a ton. South, you do need to get rid of the trees, so right click, hide and view categories, and then that's for the trees, and then for the topo surface, hide and view, again, category. Do that for the south and the west, hide and view, category, hide and view. Oops, hide and view. Okay. All right. So now we have our south view and our west view set up. The only other thing is when we do cut out the south and the north views, we want to cut out the entire wall. And so we actually don't want to see this, especially because of the overhang. You'll see that once I right click, hide and view part of the wall here, we're going to cut off right here, but we want this little section here that's kind of underneath of the roof. So hide and view element, and then do the same thing with the south view, hide and view element. All right. Now, again, first floor. A lot of the stuff we will not engrave, but we're just going to leave it right now. So what we do is you go to File, Export, CAD Formats, DWG. It's an AutoCAD drawing file. All right, and it defaults to what you're currently looking at, just a floor plan. We want to do more than just a floor plan. So in session view sheet set, and then sheet, let's see, views in the model. So we want to do the east, north, south, west, and the first floor is already selected. Double check that nothing else is selected because that's all we want to do. You can set up another view if you want to do interior walls. That's beyond what we're going to do right now. But we're going to just say, okay, next. It's going to ask you where you want to save these things. I'm going to put them on my U drive, CEA. I'm going to make a new folder, utility shed model. And I'm going to call it CEA utility shed model. That's going to be a file. Say OK. And so it did the export, or it's currently working on the export. So I'm going to go look for it. So go to my U drive, CEA, utility shed model. And what you'll notice is it does an individual, these are AutoCAD files. It does a separate AutoCAD file for each view. So it did one for the floor plan, it did one for the east, north, south, and west views. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to combine these all into one. So I can close Revit now. I'm not going to save just because I changed some stuff and I don't want it to be a permanent save. So no, but I'm done with Revit. And now the rest of our work is going to be done in AutoCAD. So I'm going to open up the first floor, the floor plan. So AutoCAD is another program created by Autodesk. It's used quite a bit in architecture and engineering still. Revit's becoming more popular. AutoCAD is still pretty much the industry standard, the basics that everyone needs to know. All right, so you'll see that AutoCAD has a lot more color going on, a lot more stuff going on. So it's a lot more the fine detail. And if you've done any work in AutoCAD, you know kind of how that works or where that comes from. A lot of this, if we were working in AutoCAD still, we'd have to do it manually ourselves. But because Revit is what it is, it does it for us. All right, so that's the first floor plan. I'm going to open up, let's do the east first. And so I'm going to copy, so highlight all of it, Control C, go back to my other one, Control V, and then I'm going to just copy and paste, Control C, Control V, make sure I remember that this is my east view. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, go to north, copy, paste, north, and let's see, keep on going, south, let's see, those lines are way too big, I can delete those, I'm not going to need those. Let's see, did that, okay, move that up, remember that's my south. And then one final time with the west. Again, oh, what happened here? Where did I close it? Did I close it by accident? Uh-oh, what happened? All right, here it is. All right, there it is. Don't need these, move that up. That's my west view. Okay, so there's all my views. We're not going to do a lot of this annotation stuff. That stuff we can get rid of. And then in order to not see these are the dimensions, we can just turn off layers. That's a good thing about AutoCAD. So you go to the home menu and you open up layer properties. You're going to see Revit created a whole bunch of layers for us. It auto-generated a whole bunch of layers for us that we don't need. So let's see. Anno dims. That is, I think, the dimensions. We can just turn it off and see what happens. So click the light bulb, that turns the layer off. All right, it didn't seem to turn them off. So let's turn off the other one. Okay, there we go. It was the second one. That worked. All right, this is a little too large. Let's see, let's scale this back so I can see more of what's going on. All right. All right, so that worked. And then these section views, I don't need to see the section lines and everything. So let's see if I can see door frame, floor, level. Well, I'm not seeing that. So let's click on the actual thing itself. And it says G Anno Sim. So I'm going to turn that off. That only turns those off. Okay, good. So now, most of the stuff I want to engrave, meaning like kind of the laser will just burn the image into whatever material it is, whether it's foam or wood or whatever it is, as opposed to cutting when it cuts all the way through it. So burning, it's just the engraving. Technically, it's called raster. So when it rasters, it just it's like a light kind of burning, because that's what a laser is. It's just a very strong heat source. It's gonna kind of just burn that image in. That's called raster. Vector, that's when it cuts all the way through. So the outline, the very, very outline, that's what I want to vector. The inside stuff I want all to be rastered. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna highlight everything, and AutoCAD does something called making blocks. So what we wanna do is we wanna explode these blocks. We wanna get rid of all of these blocks. So there's a couple different ways to do it. The easiest way to do it is to click on blocks and trying to remember where this is. All right. So where we have it. So again, we have to select the whole thing, and it's this button right here, explode. All right, so what that means is you see, let's undo what I just did to give a better idea. So did it work when I did undo? No? Okay, well, either way, just select it all again, hit explode. Do this a couple times because the whole idea is we want everything to be an individual line, individual component. It'll make it work a lot better when it goes to the laser. All right, and almost everything we're going to make two different layers, two new layers, a raster layer and a vector layer. So you go to layer properties, and let this kind of yellowish orangish star is new layer. We're going to make a new layer, call it raster. And then we're going to do that again, and we're going to call it the next one vector. All right. Just to change things up, or just to make it clear which one's which, we're going to change the raster layer to kind of like this light blue. They call it cyan, cyan. Yeah, cyan. And then we're going to change this one to like a reddish color, a red color. All right. So the vector raster is bluish, vector is red. Okay. So initially, we're going to change almost everything to raster, because almost everything we want to engrave. All right, that's all these individual things, and it's only the outline stuff, the stuff that's on the very outside edges. So you can start selecting those, the outside edges that we're going to vector. So I'm just going around selecting all the outside edges. I'm going to change those over to vector. Here it gets a little bit tricky around the outside edge of the door. So I'm going to need to clean some of that up because you see there's some overlapping stuff going on there. It's not exactly the way I wanted to see it. And that, so if we change all of that to vector, there we go. Let's see here, not what I want. So let's see, just drag this back to here. Whoa. Apparently has a grid spacing on. I want to turn the grid spacing off so I can go to exactly where I need to. All right, and then I'm going to just copy and paste this and bring it back. All right, so that will prevent that issue of cutting or vectoring more than I need. And the raster will show up the way I need it. Okay, so that one view is all good. Here, I don't want this roof portion here, but I want to keep this because I'm going to need to use this for information later. So I'm actually just going to move this. So you highlight it, click the M command, that will move it. I'm going to move that down because that's going to be part of my roof later. And then this, I can just trim that back, get rid of that. Trim, there's a command for it too. You can click on that and then that. If you're familiar with AutoCAD, pretty easy stuff, but you know, take your time. Let's see, this is the floor. We're not going to need to cut out the floor because the, what's it called? This is the floor. This will sit directly on top of the floor. So what we can do is actually just delete this stuff. We don't need that information. And now it's just the outline. So go around the outside edge. All right. That should be good. Switch that all to the vector. Again, we don't need the floor because it's going to sit on top of the floor. Get rid of that. But then here, I do want to carry this all the way over and this all the way over. And then trim this down. Trim, let's see, trim according to this line. I want to trim that and that. And then get rid of all of this. So that's this is how my north side's going to look. I'm going to do the same thing for the south side. All right, so you can switch trim to extend. These are some commands. You might know them if you've used AutoCAD before. If you don't, I can help you get things set up. All right, let's go back to trim. All right, and then delete. And then don't need the floor again. And again, we're just going to switch the outside edges to the vector layer. Okay. And then again, we're going to use this information. Might end up deleting it because we only need one of them, to tell you the truth. Let's see. The west side. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Let's go back to the west view. I'm not sure why it's showing up this way. All right, so that is, oh, the topography layer, see topo. That's weird. I thought I turned the topo view off. So if it's underneath the yellow, which is the first floor, I don't need it. So yeah, anything underneath that I don't need. So I'm gonna go back here. I can delete all of this. And again, drag this back to here, drag this back to here, and then delete, delete, and then make the outside edges vector. All right, so now if you think about it, we have the floor. We have 4 walls. Now we need to do the roof. And so the roof, it is the length of one of this plus an extra foot on the outside here and here. So if I use a dimension, we should just remember, but the dimension of our walls are 16, well, because of the brick, it's a little off, 16 foot 8 and a quarter, or 8 1/8 inch. All right. So, but then so if you think about they're really just rectangles, one rectangle here, one rectangle here. The length of the rectangle is right here. That's why we kept this. All right. So if I do a dimension on that, it's 7 foot 8 and 1/16. So what I'm going to do is I am going to switch over to the vector layer, and I'm going to make a rectangle, and it's going to be 7 foot 8 and 1/16 by, and then let's remind myself here, 16, then it's an extra foot on either side, so it's 18 8 and 1/8. All right, so it's going to be, so we said 7 foot 8. Oops, something happened there. Let's undo that. Let's try it one more time. 7 foot 8.125, because that's 1/8 of an inch, by, and then we said 18 foot 8.125 inches. All right, I made it vertically instead of horizontal. I can just do a quick rotate here to get at the orientation I want. So rotate it 90 degrees. And we can just double check our dimensions. So here, 7 foot 8 and 1/8, and 7 foot 8 and 1/16. It's an extra 1/8 of an inch long. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. 16 8 and 1/8. I want it 1 foot extra on either side. 18 8 and 1/8. Good, excellent. So there's one roof panel. I need to double this up, so I can get rid of these now. There we go. Now we want to switch over to the raster layer because we want to do the shingle pattern on it. All right, so that's in the up top here. Right, this option here is the hatch pattern. So we're going to do hatch. So select that option. We need to find the pattern that we're looking for. So we have brick pattern. So the shingle pattern that I kind of like is either this one, this ARB88. You have a whole bunch of extra stuff down here. The R shake. You have sand, herringbone. There's lots of different stuff here. So you can go through, see if you can find one that you like. This is kind of your choice here. So just going through, seeing if we can find one. I am going to use, I'll use this R shake. And that looks kind of like a nice shingle pattern right there. And we'll do the same thing here. All right. Now we are ready to go. The last thing is, okay, don't need this. And the last thing is you also don't need any of these words here. Delete those. And we can move some stuff around now. And now all we would really do is just move stuff around, condense it. So like when you send it from the AutoCAD to a laser, that it will cut nice. Oh, the other thing is this hash pattern that we just created for the roof. You want to, again, explode that. Again, this kind of comes back to just the way the laser interprets everything. If you leave it as something that's all connected, it's going to be really, really hard. So you just want to explode it. So there we go. So now it's all individual lines. That will actually raster a lot better. Okay. Oops, looks like I forgot to do the outline here. Change that to vector. And we're ready to go. Check in with your teacher to help you send this file to the laser cutter. Thank you very much.